Hey, Nick here again with Tactically Custom, doing another after class review, ACR. Got with me here Rob and Tony. We went out to Alliance Police Academy or Alliance Police Training out in Alliance, Ohio, and did one of the basic rifle handgun shoot house class with Joe Weyer out there. Wanted to get these guys on a little bit different than what I've done before, not having instructors on here. Both of them are very familiar with the gun world and have been in it a long time. I'll get to them with their backgrounds, but one of the big things too is they're both competitive shooters. Thanks, guys, for
When
joining
I'm
me here
there.
tonight. You go ahead and introduce yourselves and your background and everything.
Age before beauty. Go ahead.
Oh, bullshit. All right, so my name is Rob Anderson. I am a relatively new instructor, right? Been shooting, Jesus Christ, how long?
A while.
A while, right? Been shooting quite a while, right? Started right around, when I say 17, right? But like all things, right? Things didn't really start clicking until the last 3-4 years. Got into competitive shooting a couple years ago, off and on, right? Some when work permits, when other courses permit. So, so still relatively new in terms of how long I've been shooting, how long I've been training, and competitively, recreationally, etc. So, outside of that, right? Like I said, instructor for an armored logistics company. Also a assistant instructor out at Front Sight Solutions, and also for performance gun training, where we teach competitive shooting. So I'm gonna let him take it away on that one.
Yeah, my name is Tony Sallis. I'm the founder of Performance Gun Training, where it's performance-based training. I've been shooting for a long time. I've been competing since 2016. I'm an A-class competitor in multiple divisions. And I just recently started dipping my toe into the more practical, tactical,
The dark side,
real life side of things. I wanted to see how my skills carried over, which is, I'm sure, what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah. Well, again, thanks for joining me tonight. And again, just kind of giving that outlook. I've been able to train with both of you guys, Rob, out at Front Sight, and Tony, you've been there for a couple things and some more reps and some stuff like that you've done. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about, what was your initial expectations of class? We talked about we were going to a shoot house class and what we'd be doing, before knowing what you know now. Kind of what were your thoughts about it? Why was this something that you wanted to do? Did you think it was just cool or what? Kind of give me some insight on that.
go ahead.
Well, it's a mixture of a bunch of things, right? Like, cool is high on the list. I'm a 80s baby growing up in the 90s, so SWAT team was the thing in the 90s.
Yep.
Yeah, and I just, as a student of the game, as a student of the gun, I kind of just wanted to go somewhere I've never gone and do something I've never done before with a gun. I don't get that experience very often anymore because I've tried so many different things with a gun. I have not tried this. So it was my chance to do it, and
we got you out there.
Yeah.
Rob, what about you? What was your kind of thoughts? Why did you want to join into this? Was it just Heath and I bugging the shit out of you, or what?
You know what? It wasn't even just y'all bugging the shit out of me, even though Heath's been like, hey, we need to get you out there, pretty much since I've known him. And I mean, I say this all the time, but I really wish I would have listened, because where I am now, how much farther down the line would I have been had I listened? But going into it, it was just, I guess, the next step, right? Had the Who Are You with the Gun with defensive elements out in Muncie at MTAC. What was that? Mid-August?
June, I think.
Earlier this year,
something like that.
Yeah.
And got to really put in perspective what the use of force was, but like outside of that, like what's the next step? Like by no means is the who are you with the gun like the end, and by no means can you master that class in and of itself just by taking it once, right? You can't. There's no mastery of any of this, right? It's just the next step is learning how to do more things less wrong, right? So the CQB was the next step to add tools to the toolbox, and going forward, it's going to be just something that I constantly do. Right? There's no way I'm going back. Like, go back to a static range? Why? Like, why would I want to do that? This shit's boring as hell.
That's funny. So then, you guys mentioned that Tony, you mentioned, that 90s baby or the 90s kid growing up with SWAT and everything. So is that kind of what you thought this was going to be like? Everybody's going to be dressed up in black and go, hit a room and just start shooting everything down, full auto MP5, whatever, right?
I mean,
is that kind of what your first thoughts were?
That would be like the wet dream version, yeah.
Like MP5s all around.
Yeah. No, I mean, I kind of got a glimpse of it because Rob had already taken a class before. So I kind of had an idea of what to expect. But it was all still very mysterious. I even looked at his notes on the car ride out there. And really, that the only thing that allowed me to do was when they talked about it in class, go, I got that reference. Like,
I heard that term before. I get it. I know what that means. That's funny. So then coming from other competitive shooters a bunch of different times, and is there shortcomings to competitive shooting, to defensive shooting, and this and that, and just one of those big dialogues I think I've heard in the community as a whole, right? So being a competitive shooter, did you think that you had some initial thoughts on how you would do, like, I'll be good at this, and I'll kind of preference that. So one of the things you guys have is and competitive shooting. So you guys have like a defensive version of competitive shooting, right? And then ISPA or something, like, isn't there two sects of that, and one of them does like defensive type stuff? Again, I'm like really grasping at.
Should have did your homework, buddy.
That's why I got you guys here. So
yeah, you're right. There is technically one that claims to be more defensive minded.
Okay. Do you guys do that?
In case you can't see it, if you're only doing the audio version, that's there's air quotes around
hard air quotes.
And then there's USPSA or IPSC, and that's more what people call like the gun games or the real fast guys, and that's mostly what I do.
Is that what you do? Okay, so doing that, did you feel that you would do well? Like, did you have any like, hey, I got this, I can do that competitive shooting, this should be no problem for me?
No, so shooting around pretty high level guys my whole life, and that's not just competitors but also in the tactical world that also shoot competition. I kind of know what translates over and what doesn't, right? I'm pretty good about going in with an open mind. There's a couple things I knew I had in the bag. Gun handling is in the bag, right? I know I have that. Safety, I know I have that. It was the actual tactics, and I wasn't even worried about the fundamentals, right? The fundamentals of shooting, while be it surprising, and I'm sure we'll get to that later, as far as standards go.
Everything I know is a lie.
That A-zone's looking really good right now.
Yeah. So, no, I definitely didn't go in there, and you can ask Rob. I went in there super open-minded, as fresh as I could be, and I just knew the skills I had were going to help me along the way. Like, I wouldn't have to worry about, is my safety on? Is my gun pointed in a safe direction? Like, I already have that. That's already free for me to operate bandwidth somewhere else. So.
Okay. And then Rob, obviously you've done some of the defensive stuff at front sight with me, and we do. It's still a range, right? You know, and it's not a 360 environment, as they say, as a shoot
Right.
house, and we do some movement and things of that nature. So, and being exposed to it, you know. Did I cut out for a minute?
Yeah,
I
you
think I might
did.
have cut out. Okay? Was your thoughts kind of very similar to Tony's when you first were exposed to this? You know, with your competitive background and the classes you've done, a lot of that's kind of already cemented, if you will, some of those skills.
Yeah. So, you know, hardline fundamentals. I knew going in we're going to be squared away, right? I didn't have any questions in my mind about whether or not I was going to be safe with the gun. I didn't have any questions in my mind about being safe around other people or operating in really confined spaces. So that allowed me to be a little bit more focused on what it is that we're supposed to be learning, right? The tactics and, you know, different types of procedures and whatnot. And even still that which is a good thing, right? Because you go in and you're not squared away, then, you know, all this other stuff that you get exposed to take a little bit longer processing it, right? Or a lot bit longer processing it. So it just really helps, right? Being squared away helps. And I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so competitive shooting or defensive shooting, I mean, shooting's shooting, right? Even at the highest levels, it's just a mastery of the fundamentals. So having a decent background in fundamentals and being able to go into that, I think, really helped me to begin with, right? I didn't have to worry about anything else. But again, standards are a thing, or Joe Weyer standards are a thing.
Yeah.
So we'll
Well,
get to there.
and so we'll start to ease our way into that. So, you know, this was a 3-day class, and this is my third or fourth Joe Wire class this year, and I've never been in a class where you're going from start to finish. I mean, we did hours in 3 days. I mean, it was a lot of class in a short period of time, 3 days. Um, you know, we did a lot of lecture, and a lot of classes don't always do a ton of lecture on stuff. You know, it's just kind of getting into it and doing what were your guys' thoughts about the different lectures and how they broke it down into pieces? You know, when we look at the door procedure, the room procedures, you know, I'm not getting into a lot of specifics on how the procedures work. I want to kind of keep it brief on the class here. I don't want to spoil the fun for everybody, but what were your thoughts on the lectures and how they broke that stuff down?
I think it was essential, right? Joe explained it in a way towards everybody was able to process it and put it into their own words, because not everybody thinks the same. And I think he did a really good job in outlining things that allow people to be able to take what he said and interpret it in the way that works for them, and then be able to apply it, which I think is important. And I think in that way, is not just an instructor, but a teacher. And I hear Nick and Jesse say that quite often, right? It's one thing to be able to, you know, take somebody from point A to point B, and it's and a skill set. It's another thing entirely to get them to be able to understand it at their level, right? And be able to apply what it is that you or not just process, but be able to apply what it is that you're explaining to them. He did that very well. The course, I mean, there's no way you could pull off that class without having without having actual class, right? It'd be a virtual impossibility. And I think he did a really good job. I think that the entire team, was it Corey. I always either throw a D or an R in there. Sorry, Corey. Yeah, Corey's again squared away. The entire instructor and teacher staff was, I mean, really good, right? Not too often do I get to take a course where I have to take notes. And I mean, I have filled a binder, and I'll be going forward, either rewriting notes or filling more binders. Like I'll have a what's that? Like library full of just structural navigation, right?
Yeah, that's funny.
I mean, it's good. There's nothing bad that I can say about the course at all, or the instruction, the teaching, classroom, any of it. On you.
Yeah, I think the easiest way to explain how he teaches, it's crawl, walk, run. Right?
Yep.
Crawl in. We happen inside the class.
Good analogy.
Go through the minutia of here's where you're looking, here's where your partner is, this is the line, this is the movement, this is the shape. Then we go, all right, let's go dry fire. Now we're walking. Now we're actually getting the movement. We're seeing where the muzzle is, how a door swings open, and where the partner, how much room we have together. And then the running, well, the running is live fire, and it's time to disappoint Joe.
Yeah, right. So it's the shortest, longest period of your life.
Get ready to disappoint him. So,
no, but it was great. And
so kind of talking about the class that. Oh, go ahead, Tony. Keep going.
No, I was saying he was great in the aspect of when he talked. It was like it was legitimately like a fight coach or a football coach going through the game plan, running you through a scrimmage, and then sitting back just enough in the game to guide you without interrupting your learning process.
Sure. Yeah, one of the things that I've always liked from his classes is kind of like how you guys talked about it, that run, walk, or I'm sorry, crawl, walk, run, if I can say this right, where they do a lot of that dry practice, right, in the shoot house. We taught us procedures, which is really nice, on how to move within the structure fluidly, more efficiently. How to open doors. I've taken other shoot house classes where they don't necessarily go through how to open a door on the first level of the class, so you're kind of left a little open. But how to operate that door safely and to what they call give that violence of action, keep that momentum going, and things of that nature on the structure, if you will, as you're doing this. So that's one of the things that I've always thought was phenomenal with Joe, and I'm glad to hear that you guys kind of, from what it sounds like, is very similar in that same feeling there. When they broke it down as far as moving within a room, right? You breach a room, you get into a room, and we call it dead space, basically furniture or places, people portals, places type of thing. How did you like how the shape procedure was broken down? Make it easy for you to understand and how to take these shapes, if you will, or how to clear up some of the furniture, the dead spaces where people can be, stuff like that. Did you like how that was presented? Do you like how the procedures are? Do you think it's a good way of doing it? And while you guys are talking that, I'm gonna go turn another light on here. So go ahead and keep talking. I'll be right back.
First,
Well, now that Dad's away, the cats will play.
Yeah.
Oh, damn, he's back.
Quick.
Say anything about
No, so I think, honestly, hearing the breakdown of shapes really made it simple. Like going in, I'm like, man, this is going to be like complicated. We're going to have to go this way and that way. And it's like, no. Really, just it's these shapes. It's always going to be one of these shapes. And that's all you ever have to look for. And you would think that there's no way it can be that simple. No way. Right? No. Yeah.
It's literally
that simple. Obviously, there's a bunch of detail inside of it.
Yeah.
But once you get past, like, you think, like, way I can say it is like breaking into a house. Not that I've ever done this. But, right? Most people would think that you'd have to pick a lock and, like, that's going to be super complicated to get to the treasure on the other side. And Joe's like, no, just open the door. Like, it's that simple. Like,
I lock my doors. No. Yeah, I think the way he delivered the procedures on for shapes, particularly clearing up dead space. I mean, like he said, you made it really, really simple to process. And I mean, going in initially, like when we first started it, I'm like, all right, well, how do I move from there to there? And in my mind, I'm like, all right, well, I'll just do this. And he's like, yeah, well, no, you're exposed to this. I'm like, oh, well, hell, I can get killed that way, right? So he breaks, he breaks everything down to where when you move or as you move, you're always covered. Your partner's always covered. And this just the way he delivered, it's clear cut that everything that he's talking about is grounded in experience and a lot of trial and error, right?
and simplicity.
And he keeps it super simple, right? For folks that tend to overcomplicate stuff in their own minds. I didn't feel like I was right. Hands up, me. That's me. I am folks that overcomplicate stuff, right? I didn't feel like anything was overly complicated. I didn't feel like I had to spend a lot of time processing a lot of what was said to me because it was that simple. And yeah, there's that.
Yeah, I did another ACR with the guys over at Defensive Elements. And they did their version of this. It's the same package, and I kind of go in detail for those that are listening more about what shapes and door procedures and stuff like that. But like Tony, you were saying, right? There's 4 simple shapes. It's either an L, a bottom of a T, top of a T, or a 4-way, which is basically a bottom of a T first, but you check one more angle. So it's 4 basic shapes, right? And Rob, what you were saying is just your partner, right? It's a 2-man CQB, so there's 2 guys that are always going into these situations. You always have that 2 guns in the fight mentality as you're taking shapes or rooms, and you're what we call it canceling an angle of exposure. So there's always a gun pointed in a danger zone or a danger area, right?
Right.
About where she could be or come from, where you could take fire from. So I always felt too, it's just a very safe way and an easy way of doing it because you always have those angles covered. For them, into some situations, you just have to eat. What does Joe say? You have to eat the shit sandwich and hope you get more bread than shit type of thing. I always laugh at that. Sometimes it's just a shit sandwich. Eat the sandwich and hope you get more bread than shit. So that's always the funny part about that. So the first day we did, it was a lot of lecture, kind of outlining the base of the package, if you will. The shapes, the room procedures, door procedures. We actually got quite a bit through. We started around 8 or so, and went to I want to say almost 8:30 roughly or so. We had a pretty long day that first day. Second day we started off, and we got a couple runs in towards the end of that first day, some short runs through the shoot house. The second day we had a little bit later start because we got into night runs, which was really started some more just reciting kind of what we did before, practicing the shoot house, add some more things, and then started getting towards the night, the fun stuff, which was low light. And I'm kind of interested to hear your guys' thoughts on low light, because obviously in competitive shooting, everything's during the day. So what were your thoughts going into low light doing this?
Well, not
and Rob,
all
I know
shooting is done during the day. No, we have dark stages and night shoots in competitive shooting. Either he's shocked, still looking at me, or he's frozen.
Else I'm like, nervous, stare off into the
Am I still
random
going in and
corner.
out on your side?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm wondering why he keep going. Like, he must not be feeling like he's lagging. All right. Well, carry on.
I don't know. What part did you hear?
technology. So you guys do stuff at night.
Yeah, we have dark courses. They're for very few and far between, but we do have them.
Okay.
Obviously not to, we're not doing anything with, it's not in the same context as
Right.
like defensive shooting. It's just, white light on and just run the damn stage. But, use of light. Oh man. So this course in particular outlined for me a lot of, or highlighted, I should say, a lot more information about light, or I was able to get a lot more data about light, right? Different types of things like, photonic barriers or things that either block light or absorb light. Different hot and cold light, right? Super cold light or cool light, the whiter lights, how they can't penetrate certain things like, tinted windows, smoke, stuff like that, to whereas warmer lights can, get through that smoke, get through those tinted windows, and in particular, how well certain types of lights performed. Honestly, I was surprised that my light was performing as well as it was TLR. I'm sorry, not TLR. Streamlight ProTac HL, right? Performed really well. And then I saw Cloud Rain and I was like, oh, son of a bitch. Like, I thought I was doing good, right? Performing as good, if not better in some instances than some of the surefires that were out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm next to the Cloud Rain, or Tony with his Cloud Rain off of Joe's gun, and I'm just like, this motherfucker's got the damn sun on the end of his rifle. Like, I need that, right? Like, absolutely need it. There was a clear-cut difference between the two, and it just puts into perspective exactly how much things change in such a short period of time, and exactly how much more information has been or gets put out there, through trial, error, and just generally running your stuff. Like, so had I not taken this course, that light would still be on my rifle, right?
You would save money.
Had I taken this course ahead of time, yes, I would have saved money, right? Like, had I taken this course long before I bought, these particular lights, Jesus,
these lights.
Yeah,
this is the most expensive course I've ever taken with after action.
Yeah, so Jesus, we're looking at, I probably could have saved close to $1,000 in just weapon mounted lights in general had I gone, or had I taken this course first and then bought the light. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's kind of crazy too, because the shoot house, and I've put up pictures of this, it's dark railroad ties, right? Like a super dark, oily, it just sucks the light from nowhere, so there's like zero ambient light. So it really makes these lights have to work. And I took some photos of some of your guys' run, right? And you were able to see the spread, right? The spill of a light to your hot spot, Rob. And you're able to see that compared to a cloud. And Cloud's not a sponsor of this channel or anything, but I mean, I have Cloud on my rifles, and it is literally like you have the sun on your gun. It's amazing how bright those suckers are, and what you can pick up from a huge difference, or distance, I should say. Tony, using that rifle, because that was Joe's at that point that you were using. What was your thoughts of the light on there and what you're able to see in that?
What was my thoughts on the light? Well, we both bought one practically as soon as we got home.
Yeah, pretty much. We didn't waste any time.
Yeah, I don't even think we made it back to Illinois, and Rob's like,
so running that obviously changed your mind on it.
Oh yeah. Running. You want to just spill this into the gear portion?
A segue.
Yeah,
though.
yeah, we can kind of
Yeah.
fill it into it. Little
Okay.
segue.
Well, this class at face value, it actually didn't cost a lot of money to attend. However, it is costing me an awful lot of money in revelations. So I went to this class with my normal, what I thought was an awesome CQB quote battle rifle, which was a little 10-3 build. I don't think we were in class 4 hours, and Joe basically said, "Nope, everything on that rifle is wrong." And I'm like, "But
That's
Joe,
funny.
I got this." He goes, "No, but Joe, no,
No,
but my ambi safety."
no.
No.
Everything we think is right is just absolutely wrong.
So the reason we already talked about I was using Joe's rifle is because I care about my partner. And once we did the first dry fire session, he saw how close my muzzle was to his face when we were attacking a door. And I'm like, oh, this is...
I was like, no.
I would have been deaf, like still. I would not be able to hear. And we just left him to his devices. Like,
yeah.
I
So
have hearing aids in right now.
Luckily, and bless Joe, he went to his truck and gave me his duty rifle, which will actually, Nick, the next time we take a class together, it'll look oddly like my rifle now.
Literally took pictures and pretty much cloned the shit to a T.
Yeah. Everything except for the maul that I currently can't afford is exactly like Joe's rifle. To a T. To the light,
cool.
to the optic mount, to the optic, to the stock, like everything is copied from that because it works so well.
Well, and Joe's been doing this for a long time, and he's seen a lot, right? He's tested a lot. He runs the training program out there, so he's definitely, he knows how to put it together to make it run right.
Yeah.
So
that's evident. And his was the most simple rifle out there.
Yeah. I thought I was squared away with my rifle. And again, ambi safety. I'm like, okay, I can operate my safety faster, this, that, and the other. He was like, yeah, you can think it's not going to happen to you. And then the moment you go to, hit a carry position, or, hit to a stow position, like hit front sling or something like that, that ambi safety is going to catch on the piece of gear and is going to disengage the safety. And literally not 5 seconds after he said that shit, I go to move the gun. I'm like, son of a bitch. Like, it's a good thing the gun wasn't loaded when I did it. But I'm like, yeah, he might be wrong. I've never had a problem before. Hit front sling, and like 5 seconds later, boom, like right on the dot. Like, well, I guess this shit's coming up literally in the middle of class, taking shit off the gun. Taking shit off the gun in the middle of class, repositioning slings in the middle of class. Like you learn very quickly what will and will not work. And I thought it was bad before, just all this time in training where I have a bin of shit that has come off the gun and come off kit. And this class just adds to it. It's like, oh, don't need this shit now. Here's $40 in parts, $200 light, this, that, and the other.
Well, that's, I think,
fucking hell.
I luckily get I got a different experience because let's say Gucci. My rifle's pretty Gucci. It was like my pistol.
Well, it still is, because
it still is. It's still there. I really thought, like, this is all the stuff I need to be fast, to be able to do everything perfect. And then Joe gives me his rifle, and it's like, where's the stuff?
Like, where's the fancy stuff? It's like, no.
And I gotta say,
keep it simple.
Running it dry fire, running it live fire, his gun literally is the opposite of everything that's on mine. No ambi safety, crazy light trigger. Hell, not even, he doesn't even have an ambidextrous charging handle.
Nope.
Yeah.
And I thought all of that would be missed. Yet when we started running and we started getting into the groove of just doing run after run after run, I didn't notice shit was missing.
Yeah, ain't that
Nothing.
something? Man,
Crazy.
just simple. Just simple. Just do it,
I
right?
well, at the end of class, right, we were looking at my rifle, and I'm just looking at it like,
I don't need none of this shit.
you're trash. You're trash.
Yep. Just after all
This
that
is where
time,
the industry fails us to a degree. Like, you need all this shit. No, you don't.
That's what, you know, one of the things, Rob, when you were saying about the bins, right? I mean, I got boxes everywhere in my stuff here. It's
Literally
just extra
stacked to the
gear,
gills.
extra shit. Just yeah, oh yeah. I mean, literally just boxes of extra stuff.
So as
right?
you're
Just
pointing
extra
yours
pouches
out,
of
Tony's
everything.
literally pointing out all his. Literally.
That's one.
Boxes
I got
of
one
bins
down
of shit.
there. So what I want to do is go to an airsoft tournament and be like, hey guys, I got some really
Man, you're
cool
onto
gear.
something. We need
Let's
to make
start
some of that money
selling
back.
There you go.
right? Just,
Fucking brilliant.
just have like a
You want one of them?
little free flea market table and just start getting rid of it. I got a great light that'll work for airsoft.
Yeah. Man,
Tactically
that's
custom
funny.
flea market is open.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. Get some money back. But no, and that's
Yeah,
kind
that
of the
mall ain't
cool
gonna pay
thing,
for
right?
itself.
No, it's not.
Like running these classes, this is where you want to see those deficiencies in the gear, right? And you want to see at the night, but you're glad that you can't see with the light in a training environment, so you know how to fix it, right? And so if you ever need it or you need to use it, you're good to go. I mean, this is where we try and test all of this stuff. You know, and I've said it in multiple videos like this and for Deuce QB. I mean, granted, it's fun. I love it. It is a adrenaline rush through and through, but it's to try and test our skills to move in and around a structure or people. So when there's a bump in the night in my house, I got the rain on my rifle or the owl to give me all full sun power to see everything and be able to manipulate my firearm around my kids, my wife, whatever, safely to do what I need to do to protect my family. That's end of the day, it's kind of the big thing. And granted, it is fun as hell. I mean, when I first took this, that bug bit me and it was just over. And Rob, I know you've kind of said, you know, similar things to that effect when we started doing that force on force and everything. It bites you over. Drain me that the Kool-Aid's coming in. So as far as other gear, I mean, any gear as far as like pouches or your carrier setup, belt setup, did you change any of that stuff from this class, or is it mainly just the rifle?
I'll start because mine is shorter. I didn't change shit because I actually had to buy plates to take this class. Yeah, us competition guys normally don't have plates. So when he signed me up for this class, he's like, you're gonna need some more stuff. I'm like, what kind of stuff? He's like, you know, the protective kind.
Well,
yeah,
and,
so
and really quick, Tony, for those that are watching here at Alliance, and I'm sorry, Rob didn't tell you this, he does have you don't need to have ballistic plates. He has them there for you to borrow, as well as the ballistic helmet. So you know, those again who are watching, you don't have to to spend all of that money. You are more than welcome to come. I believe he even has rifles for people to use, not maybe his duty rifle, but others. So again, those that are watching, we wear plate carriers and ballistic helmets for PPE, just protective gear, because it's a live shoot house. You don't have to go and spend you know, whatever, $500, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 on a helmet and hundreds of dollars on plates. So sorry, Tony. I'm sure something will happen after the cameras are off.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna get RKO'd as soon as this video's over.
So
smack him with the plate.
Yeah, to make my weekend more interesting, because it was relatively short notice that we were doing this. I knew I could borrow a helmet, so I was covered there.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, I really can't afford nice plates right now. So I went and got steel plates. And because I wear big boy plates, it was an extra 24 pounds just in plates. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Like 12 and some change per plate, not including ammo. SpongeBob
And Rob's next to you with a nice light plate setup that he recently got.
Yeah, because I knew that. So I already knew because I had a set of Spartan armors. I was like, I can't keep doing this. Like, I'm all for the, signing up for the abuse and training like you fight. So training under the weight of the vest in and of itself was like each plate was like 8 pounds and some change, right? Not including the ammo, not including the water. I'm like, fuck this shit. It was time for an upgrade. So, I upgraded to the shot stop GT2s, courtesy of Tactically Custom. Shameless plug. Right?
Thank you for that. I was waiting. Thank you.
And like I couldn't have been happier, right? Each plate's like 3.2 pounds. And then I see Heath's plate carrier. This bastard's running around with plates that weigh like 2 pounds and some change. So both his plates are still lighter than, one of my plates in a mag. And I'm just like, ain't this a bitch? Like, I don't understand. I don't know. It's constant upgrades. Like the upgrades don't stop. The gear doesn't stop. I haven't really changed anything with my kit since I upgraded the plates just yet. But of course, later on down the line. So like DE's entire catalog, or I guess DM's entire catalog. So their carriers, their chest rigs, a couple of their pouches, right there, their the pack that goes on the back of their plate carrier. Like I'll be upgrading all of that stuff soon, just because I really like the way their kit was set up, the simplicity of it, and how much lighter it was compared to mine. Right, because I'm still running like Gen 1 Condor MOPC, right, that I bought back I think around the time that my son was born. My carrier is that old. It's long overdue for an upgrade, but things change. Got to store to stay relevant.
Plug, you can get all your defense mechanism stuff through Tactically Custom. So another shameless plug. But and Rob, I mean, during the summer last year and even this year, you and me would always be like, all right, we're putting our carriers on. I had some heavier plates, not steels, but you and I would be like, all right, we're running this whole class through there, and each one of us would push each other just to keep pushing through the weight. And it's like, can we take this off yet? I'm not taking mine if Rob's not taking his off. Damn it!
Like, I'm not taking mine off yet because Nick's waiting for me to take it off. I can't let him down.
Yeah. So that was kind of fun, but that even experienced shooters, just like the rest of us, right? It's just always changing, always evolving. From the gun, it's nice and refreshing to hear, Tony, your gun, right, and all the fancy stuff. Even you're saying it's not necessarily needed, right? You can, a simpler setup, the right setup will get the job done, if not better, just as if at a minimum, right? So you don't have to go crazy and all these fancy upgrades on the gun. The light's always the key. Those night runs, I tell you, when we were doing those, some of those 2 or 3 room looks with the light, and then they would have those targets hidden. It was pretty interesting and eye-opening seeing under white light at 1 o'clock in the morning, right, or 2 o'clock in the morning, however late we were going till. So one of the things that we'll touch on, which we didn't touch on, and you guys kind of brought it up too, is accuracy standards, right, at Joe's class, to kind of hitch back a little bit. So as competitive shooters, you guys have the targets, right? And they're usually those cardboard targets. They have, I think they're usually perforated or kind of lined out, if you will. You guys have one there?
One of those.
Yep, one of those. That is enormous. So you guys have, and they're usually A zone, right?
Yeah, the A zone is this area.
Right.
So taking Joe's class, and especially when Corey's there, shout out to Corey.
I'll put that back up there.
And acceptable hits. The acceptable hits are the fist size pump and lungs. You know, what would that be? 4 or 5 inches by 4?
Give or take that.
Yeah, that's about it right there. Yep, that's the acceptable hit for pump and lungs. And then you have the T box, right? In between the eyes to the nose, that T area. That was an acceptable hit. Anything outside of that, if you hit the person, that was a fail to neutralize. And there was a lot. We have a board, and we've talked about this on other ACRs. We have a board where we keep track of all this stuff. Failed to neutralize FTNs, and there was a lot of FTNs on there. And
yeah, we almost ran out of room.
Oh, and they talk about too, right? You gotta put somebody down, and I've always screw up the analogy, but you got to put them down right now, right then. And so, what do you have to do? Either shut the switch off with the T box hit, or you got to drain as much blood and get as much air into that chest cavity as possible. And that's what those hits are.
Yeah.
And Corey, again, shout out to Corey. He's like, nope, that's an FTN. It's like, Corey, it's like right there. Nope, FTN. It's like,
yeah,
come on, man, just give me one. Nope, FTN.
And
so,
you know what?
But,
you gotta respect it, right? Because if he starts giving you a little bit of leeway, right, then that starts opening up the door for a lot of shit to be able, or for a lot of slack to get cut. And you know, there's no margin of error. Right. And I think at one point in time we were in the hotel room after the class, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, we don't suck, do we? Like what the hell is going on? Why can we not sort this out? And he's like, well, or you know, he's like, I don't understand. Like I'm going in, you know, he's doing his thing, you know.
I mean, Corey, legit, he almost saw me cry. like I walked up to a target, proud as can be. I'm like, Corey's gonna give me an attaboy. I'm like, I walk up, I'm like, yeah. He's like,
this
failure. I'm like, Corey.
He's like, wait, no, please, not again. Right?
I'm like, show me where. And he's like, well, you were close, but not close enough.
And I mean, we have to qual. So we have to qual, right? And we're using the same targets that I use for the qual. I'm like, boom, got it, right? You know, 2 in the heart, or you know, 1 in the pump, 1 in the T box, and I'm like, okay, cool. You know, right where we place the shots for the qual, but the hand is in the way, but it's right there in the knuckles, and I'm like, all right, that'll totally count. Nope.
Guess what?
Hands in the way. That the bone in that hand it'll do weird shit ballistically. It does not count. I'm like, no, like the ground drops out from underneath you, dude. Especially when like you, in our world, we're squared away, but like their world, like where the hell's the camera? Shots got to be like stacked up on top of each other like that, and it's got to be exactly where it's supposed to, you know, where it's supposed to be. So, I mean, after this class, I went back. I started explaining to my guys that I work with. I was like, "This is what our accuracy standard is." Then I showed them what Joe's is, and I'm like, "Yes, if we put everybody on Joe's accuracy standard, all of you bastards are failing. Like everybody is failing the game.
It's over. It's over."
So
that's funny.
This is exactly what I did with my training after I got home. I took my targets and I took Post-it notes to the range with me. And this was my new standard for practice. So it was eye-opening. I did it with a mutual friend of ours, also eye-opening to him. And we did the same target. Didn't matter if we were 3 yards away or 30 yards away. This was the standard. Tears were shed.
Loads of tears were shed. You start questioning your own ability to a certain degree.
What was kind of cool is I got to train my way, and I got to see, as it progressed, like that range day I was out there for 2 hours, got to see the shots all of a sudden just like, wow, they're in the Post-it note. There's more. They're all in the Post-it note. Like I was this close to calling Corey.
Just start shooting Corey. Photos. Like
Yeah.
See, I can do it.
Yeah.
I swear I'm not gonna suck next time I'm
I
here.
swear it was just first date jitters. That's not the real me.
What's the phrase? This doesn't usually happen. Looks like we lost you there, Nick.
He's holding the post-it note.
I don't know what's going on.
He looks like he could be running for president right now.
Let me be clear.
Yeah. Let me be clear. We did not say go to this country.
Nick, no. Come back, Nick. He
He's gonna pop back in like, you guys are talking an awful lot. When he goes back to edit this episode, he's like, you sons of bitches.
Oh no, he doesn't edit. It
Oh,
goes straight.
Oh no.
Oh, this ain't right. It's time to,
Oh my God, look, it's our show now.
time to start talking that
Anyway.
weird shit.
On the Tony and Rob show. Well, let's continue with what we were talking about. Your accuracy standards for work has changed. Mine's changed for practice.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of translates pretty cool into competitive because I know I can, if I can hit that post-it note at speed in practice, that means A zone is a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can push the speed more.
Yeah. You can ramp it up by like a lot. Oh, there you
There
are.
you go. There you go. Technology. I think my wife is watching a movie. I don't know. Whatever. But thank you for continuing there and hanging on with me.
Oh, don't worry. We were doing you the. Don't worry.
You got
There's
me.
some specials parts in there.
So that's kind of the interesting part when you guys talk about those standards, right? Being competitive shooters, and Tony, you're a very good, shooting A class, right? And how the standards in Joe's class, just shrink and what that can do to you. But then again, it's just putting in time. And they always say we don't give you a time limit, right? That you just go and you do your work. And everybody still wants to go fast and go through it. It's just taking your time and well placed shots. And the crazy thing is with these targets, which I'm going to be doing a video with the guys over at DE about their targets and realistic targets. You could have one target that has two bodies on there, two people. One might be, normal size, and one might be half the size and then tilted and changed, right? There's one particular target where there's a bigger guy and then a smaller girl with a gun to his head, and everybody shoots the guy for various reasons. Rob knows better. And then and then there's a smaller one, right? And it's trying to know your offsets, and that's what they're a big thing, right? Is know your offsets. The hand, right? A guy has the gun here, and you shoot him where you would think the pump and the lugs are, but like Corey says, right? The bullet can deviate through that hand. He might not have his hand, but it can deviate. Doesn't mean he's down for the fight. So it is crazy, but having high expectations, training to the highest level, when shit goes bad and this stuff has to be done for real, you have to, do a real shoot or whatever, things are going to go down a little bit. But if you're training at high standard, you should still be within the acceptable range, is kind of the whole thought process between everything, right?
That's what we were talking about when you had decided to just disappear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Particularly with the targets too, right? So like you could be squared away in terms of what your placement was, but an angle will make that shot not be what it or not will be a failure to neutralize because the angle that you're on, you're not turning the person off immediately. You're just hitting bone, right? Or it's just contact and flesh because of the angle, and then it passes through, and that person's still standing and in the fight. So now you got to either get different angles or place the shots in different areas. It's just really eye-opening in terms of, or the photorealistic targets and the accuracy standard is really eye-opening in terms of what it is that you need to do in relation to the human anatomy to get somebody to stop doing bad shit, right? Still hurts your feelings though, just a little bit.
That's what when you had taken off, we were talking about how in my practice, I started using the post-it note and I started doing it my way with practicing is trying to drill the speed down. Like, can I maintain my normal par times for a drill, but now instead of an A zone, I have a little tiny post-it note.
Sure.
And knowing that I can get close to it come match day, now I don't have to hit a post-it note. Now I can hammer down the speed and hit a whole A zone.
Yep.
So it definitely changed my practice. Like, that is for sure.
Yeah. Well, that I know it's just when I first did the class, and that I'm like, what? But if I hit him here, it's gonna be a bad day. Like, nope, he's not down.
Yeah,
But if I
exactly.
hit him here, nope. But if I hit the gun, we just did one, and I'm going to be talking with Joel and Heath. We just did another defensive elements class, CQB, and I shot the target, and it was one where the gun's in, right here, right. My round went right in the pipe of the gun, right in the pipe of the hand. I'm like, hey, I Robin Hood that shit. That gun ain't working. He's like, but he's not down. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Robin Hood. It ain't working. They're like, nope, FTN. I'm like, come on, give me something here. That's bonus points. Oh, that's funny. So now that you guys have taken, and I want to kind of start bringing this, full circle here. So we talked about kind of your training, what you've done before, kind of expectations going into this, kind of how competitive shootings happen. Now doing this class and what you've experienced, do you still have that same feeling? Do you feel that, doing the competitive shooting may have helped in abilities doing this class? Do you think that has no real application, for people that are looking to do this class who may be competitive shooters who are afraid to do it, or people who, like myself, I do this stuff. I'm kind of always afraid to do competitive shooting because I'm like, I don't know if it's going to screw up my training. Kind of what's your thought process now with competitive shooting with defensive CQB type stuff?
I'll take this one.
Go ahead. I'll tag in here in a minute.
You can actually speak on it too, because you saw me.
Mm-hmm.
There was only one team on that board that had 0 safety violations. Team 2.
Yeah.
So for people that always want to think that competition will get you killed in the streets, I don't know. We were also the only one of 2 teams that shot 0 hostages.
0 hostages, Nick.
I got one. I always have. Actually, this last class I had 0. I did not shoot that target.
Oh, nice.
Boom. Rob would be happy.
So we're standing on the catwalk, and I'm like, as soon as you ran that run where you clapped the hostage, I was like, I looked at Tony, I was like, watch this shit. Because I knew it was coming. Because all you want to do is burn shit to the ground. I was like, watch this shit. And you did not disappoint. He came in, wham. I was like, saw it coming. You got to rein that in, Nick. You got to rein it in.
So I would say competition helps. And it's my argument for almost anything. I would put my gun handling against anyone.
Sure.
My gun handling, especially when you start getting higher into competition, or even just reps in general, you don't have to shoot competition. I would garner to say every high-class shooter has done some form of competition before, period. If you want to be that good, you've done some form of competition shooting. Now, what I think it helps with greatly is in that class, I'm not going to name names because it's not important, there were people more flustered that had the same experience level I did in CQB. Right? I didn't have to worry about my gun, my gear. It wasn't even my gun to worry about. Right? But my bandwidth wasn't taken up by my manual of arms, how my stuff works. That's second nature. I already know that. So I can solely focus on me and him going to this door correctly, going to this room, identifying this position without ever having to worry about, is my safety off? Is my gun pointing in the right direction? Where's my light switch? Like, none of that. I didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things that I've noticed as well. And also, and I've talked about this on other podcasts, on um, others podcasts. There was a competitive shooter there, and we were talking about different training that people do. And my fear, if you will, is I've always wanted to try it. I think 3-gun would be fun and stuff like that. But my fear in doing this is what I've always called it was training scars. Like, is it going to make me go too fast? Is it going to make me pop up, flip that safety, and pop, pop, pop? And kind of give me that. That's what I've always been afraid of. So it's good to hear that, and seeing you guys. I was very interested, and that's why I wanted you guys on here with me and talking about this because of your experience to put me in my place, if you will, and others out there that might have concerns similar to mine, on either side of that, right?
Yeah.
So it is very interesting, right? It's a mindset thing and bandwidth thing.
Well, I would say it's warranted. Like, there are some things that are tough to crack. Like, I'm the only person at that class that took a makeup shot.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, you did?
About that.
I did not know that.
I did. I missed, and I shot a third time. You know me. He knows me all too well. I have a tendency to shoot fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't realize I took a third, and then they started recounting, and I took a makeup because I knew I missed.
Okay.
Now, fundamentally, that's good.
We're justifying his actions. We're not.
But
honestly,
it was a procedure
Sure.
flaw because you're only supposed to do 2 per target.
Yep.
That wasn't running through my mind. It was pop, pop, missed. Oh, crap, pop. So there's that, I suppose.
To the point of can competitive shooters take this course, or should they, or what are the thoughts on it, and vice versa, right? Should tactical shooters get into competition, and the fear being there of creating training scars and all this other stuff, right? Like, so whenever I go to competitions, I wear the same belt that I wear when I train at Front Sight and when I trained at Alliance. So I get shit from the guys all the time. You're the most tactical competitive shooter I've seen. Absolutely right, right? I am training, so I look at it as a training opportunity, right? Because even if I'm moving at speed, right, and I'm trying to, competition is the way it's scored is speed over time, or is it time over speed?
Basically points per second.
Points per second, okay. So my battle belt, right? Same holster, same gun, same kit, same mag pouches, whole 9 yards. In a competitive setting, how fast can I get out of this holster, affect my reloads, engage my targets, and then how does that translate over to the defensive aspect of it, right? Because at the end of the day, shooting is shooting. So I really think it breaks down to a degree, can it create training scars? No, because none of my training scars or I shouldn't say training scars, because it's not training scars, right? So have you seen me do anything at the range at Front Sight or even at Alliance that would indicate clear cut, hey, this is purely what they would do in competition? No, because I don't approach it like that, right? It's purely a training opportunity for me, right? It allows me to work on, I'm still working on stuff that I need to work on. I'm just working on it in a competitive environment. I'm adding that level of stress. So I'm inoculating myself to a degree to stress and just performing at speed. I think a lot of times it's a nervousness about being new to it and not wanting to suck, because this is what I do, right? This is what my title is in this realm. If I go over here, I'm brand new, and if I screw something up, I'm probably going to get roasted. And that is what I think the mentality usually is. Nobody wants to admit that they're, Bambi brand new at certain shit.
That's exactly what I did going into this class.
Yeah, but your mentality is not the same as everybody else.
I'm saying, even like, if you look at the accuracy standards, right? I got my shit pushed in, and I'm not a bad shooter.
Right.
It should be no different.
So I think on both sides of the spectrum, right? Competitive shooters and tactical shooters. I think what it boils down to is, I think that in industry in general, right, in this particular industry, we would all fare a lot better dipping our toes, in the very least, in the pool on both sides or all sides of the spectrum, because you could factor hunters into this shit too, right?
Mhm.
There's a lot of ego, particularly with guys in industry, tied up in this on both sides of the spectrum. And I think what it breaks down to is everybody just needs to sack the fuck up, excuse my language, and just outright do it, right? Just like the first time you ever took a course, it was I am nervous about going in here. What if I suck? I'm brand new. I'm not going to know anybody. But then you get into it and you focus only on yourself and only in your improvement. Competition is no different, right? You don't become a grandmaster shooter overnight instantly without, or you don't become a grandmaster shooter overnight and instantly. You have to put in the work. You don't become, high level tactical, cool guy, breach the room, super fancy John Wick motherfuckers in the face in CQB without putting in that time. And I think both sides of the spectrum would benefit from one another. They already do, in terms of the advancement of kit and the advancement of what type of techniques in terms of firearms handling we currently have. I just think from a understanding point, right?
Sure.
Everybody would fare a lot better. Sort of what the hell's the word?
Embrace the suck.
Well, yes,
Yep. As they
embracing
say.
the stock, but like meshing, right? Mingling. Doing both sides, right?
Yeah, and that's why I was really excited that both of you were going to be there and that you're going to be partners. So I was very curious on if you guys would do what I thought you would have done, right? And just go, just blowing
I
it
knew he was
through,
going to
right?
shoot fast as shit right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And I knew that was going to happen.
So it was very interesting to see that, and it kind of like, well, maybe that isn't a thing that I was thinking of, right? That you can do both and not get true scars, if you will. So that's good to hear that you guys did that, if you will, and feel that way.
You've seen it firsthand at Front Sight, right? When it comes to doing a skills drill, not a tactics drill.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a small man by any means, but there is a reason that Heath has a hard time keeping up with me. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
So the skills portion is really where competition will help you flourish.
Sure.
Right? So even if you look at it in a tactics standpoint, take it in its rawest form. If you're fundamentally accurate and I can get the gun out, so the average draw time from somebody from an ALS holster that doesn't train, like 2 seconds, right?
Sure.
My draw from an ALS holster, 6 shots on target, is like 1.8. If we were facing each other in a gunfight, if I got my gun out sooner and had 6 rounds on target before your gun even left the holster, there's a good chance that I win.
Sure.
Right? And that's where I don't think people can separate it. Those skills mean nothing entering the room, clearing the room, anything like that. They do matter when it comes to, hey, how fast can I get my gun up, get my dot on target, process what I'm looking at, make sure everything's lined up, pull the trigger.
Sure.
And I think that honestly, so what I think people get hung up on is confusing or mistaking a skill, a drill, and a tactic, right? A skill is an ability, right? Something that we work on and learn it to get proficient at. A drill is a sequence, right? A sequence of the skills that we have learned and putting it into motion. Can we do A, B, C, and D while doing this at the same time, right? The drill is there to sharpen the skills. So we work on the skills. We isolate the skills first. We work toward the drill. The tactic is what? A tactic is a plan set in a kinetic environment, right? And the probability of the tactic succeeding is heavily reliant on not only just being in the right time at the right place, but having the skill set to be able to pull it off, right? So can we isolate the skills and run the drills and then apply tactics later? Yes, right? We have to have if we don't have the skills, tactics don't mean shit, right? Because if it takes me 3 seconds to get out of holster and I'm there first, but that dude sees me and burns me to the ground, well, what good did that do, right? So we, again, everybody, both sides of the spectrum, in my opinion, collectively pull the heads out of their asses, sack up, and just dip their toes in the water on both ends, right? Tactical dudes can run their kit, run their battle, their battle belts in a competitive environment.
Well, actually, right? Even we have special provisions in USPSA where if you're law enforcement, you're allowed to run your duty kit, armor and all.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So if you want to show up in your duty gear and come shoot with me at a USPSA match, I will walk you through it. And you can run your exact stuff.
That's cool.
So
the name of the game, though, is to not be too upset.
Yeah, when you get beat by a 13-year-old girl.
And then that's across the board, right? Because I mean, starting out, I thought I was hot shit, right? Because I was purely a tactical shooter before I got into competition. And my first competition, I came dead fucking last, dude. You know what? I came second to last. And the only other dude that I beat him because he got DQ'd, right? He broke 180 and got fucking DQ'd. So I was like, I thought I was doing good. And then I saw the score. I was like, fuck. And then you got to come to, you have a decision to make at that point, right? Do I be upset about it and not accept the fact that there's other people out there that are better than me? This is on both sides of the spectrum, right? Or do I use this as a learning opportunity and use this as a focus, as motivation, and get better?
Sure.
So I always got that person to chase at competitive matches. I always have that person to chase out at front sight, who I set as my goal towards, if I can get as good as this person, or if not better, then I know that I'm squared away. And then I find another person to was it, what do we call it? Chase person. You got your chase person, right?
Yeah.
You find that next person to help improve you, to motivate you, to get you to the next level, right? And it doesn't stop, right? Unless I know for a fact I can walk in a room and be like, okay, I can absolutely outshoot every dude in here, right? And even still, you might travel to another country and get completely dusted by some kid that who's rocking like flip-flops made out of Coke bottles or something like that.
Sure.
But they just so happen to save up enough money to be able to afford a gun and be able to participate in this, IPSC or World Shoot or whatever. So,
well, and you got to be open, right? You got to be open to the change. I mean, I gave you the example of it, right? My accuracy standards for a portion of my training change.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of times when I focus on purely being accurate that it has changed dramatically since taking this class. Before it would have been like, hey, guess what? I didn't hit any out of the A zone.
Yeah.
That was accurate. Now it's like, like when I did that training, it was 90% need to be in that postcard or the Post-it note.
For the accuracy standard, when we shoot the qual, like where we normally score it, for me, I tell the students right out of the gate, I'm like, here's what here's what the company's qual is, or acceptable accuracy standard is. Here's what my acceptable accuracy standard is. And here's what the new accuracy standard is that I learned from Joe Weyer at Alliance. I was like, if we grade you by his accuracy standard, everybody is failing this course. Like, I am 100% honest. We can't do that. Like, so mine is sort of middle of the road. So I have to grade because people have got to pass. Otherwise, nobody gets hired. But when I'm shooting, I use Joe's accuracy standard, and they're like, well, how is that fair? I'm like, ask him. My feelings was hurt when I was doing what you're doing right now too. So,
Well,
Yeah,
that's
definitely
all.
got to be open to the change.
I think
A
we
lot of
should do
things that
another
you
one of
said
these
there.
episodes and have it after Nick comes and shoots a competition. I think that would be fun.
That would be a fun one.
There we
We
go.
should do that. I would be down for that. It'd be
All
very
right.
interesting. I wanted to kind of cover. I'm going to kind of tie two things together here, and start moving to try to wrap things up here. I appreciate you guys spending the time with me tonight. Now that you've taken it and everything that you do, have done and everything like that. Two parts to the question. One, after doing this class, what type of people should or would you recommend doing this class? Like, is it for anybody and everybody? Is it for people who've had, so much training or, that sort of thing? And then what would you recommend to people coming here now that you know that you don't need body armor, Tony, and things of that nature? What would you recommend to
Salt in
people
the wound.
who would come to a class like this? Is there certain gear that they should have, shouldn't have, mindset, training, that sort of thing? So kind of a two-part longer question. I want to hear from both of you.
So I would say this training is for everybody, right? Period, point blank. Not necessarily somebody who is just now getting into shooting, but somebody who has, spent some time, right? So we got the gun, we put in the time to learn the fundamentals, right? Then we get our concealed carry permit. Okay, cool. So where do we go from there, right? From there is force on force, and then CQB, because what is, are you waking up to the sound of a bump in the night and then having to respond to that bump because somebody legitimately broke into your house? Guess what? That's CQB, right? You're maneuvering in an environment with a firearm, and you want to be able to do so safely where other people might be, particularly your family, loved ones, so husband, wife, kids, etc., right? Parents, what have you. That's exactly what CQB is. Now, granted, we have to wear plate carriers and helmets and all of that stuff because we're operating with another person in a classroom environment. But when it's the real deal Holyfield, that's exactly what you'll be doing. And you want to be able to do it right, because this particular game in real world application is for keeps. There is no respawn. There is no, reset, let's start over, or there's no index. Hey, what do you think you could have done differently here, right? You get clapped, you get clapped. So CQB is for everybody, but we have to have a baseline, right? We have to have a baseline skill set going into it, because you can't be brand new, not unsafe, and then pointing guns in or at people and in weird directions. So you have to, at the very least, have a baseline skill set and a fundamental understanding of safety. And what I believe people need to come here, just a really open mind, right? They have rifles that they can lend you, pistols that they can lend you, armor and helmets, then hell, just show up, right? Bring snacks to be able to get through it, right? You need to feed the beast. You need those calories to be able to stay coherent. As Lord knows, being an adult after not being in school for a while is super hard to pay attention. You thought ADD was bad when you were in school. It's just damn near impossible after you get out of school. But snacks, hydration to stay alert, to stay hydrated, and a notepad, right? Because there's no way you get through any of this, particularly without taking notes. It'll literally fall right out of your head. Like the moment you get home and you think you're going to retain it, it's gone with the wind, right? Just nothing super crazy, right? Nothing super crazy. Just open mind, notepad, and food and water. What you got?
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with most of it. I feel wrong saying it's not for everyone, because I think everyone should want to learn it. I do think there needs to be a baseline of efficiency. You definitely should be able to safely handle a gun. You definitely should be able to at least hit, honestly, I would say just a regular piece of paper, 8.5 by 11, I would say at 10, 15 yards as like a bare minimum of taking a class like this, especially with a rifle. I think that's adequate. I mean, yes, you're going to get, failure to neutralize a lot, but that part's okay. But not being able to even hit one of those pieces of paper would be unacceptable. So I think there needs to be a good baseline. You need to realize in yourself, like, I'm confident that I can hit this piece of paper at 15, 20 yards. I think that's a good baseline. Anybody that carries a gun should probably take this class. It wasn't until, I think it was our second day when we went to Walmart for supplies after the class. Walmart was never so interesting to me.
Oh, yeah. Shapes everywhere.
Shapes, just looking at people, identifying unknown areas, open doors, how the door opens. It was not, so I've always played the what if game. I've been in security a lot growing up for a profession. So you always play the what if game.
Right.
Not like this. This was the what if game on steroids. And I think it's super applicable, and it really helps paint the picture of awareness. That ultimately, like, I'll be the first person to tell you, even as somebody that has a sub-second draw, can get that gun out from concealment very quickly. It is still not as fast as avoiding a situation, right? And even if learning shapes and stuff like that, not just a way to attack, but it's reverse engineered, a way to escape, right? And it really starts getting you to think a lot more methodical as opposed to running around hair on fire, no plan. This kind of gives you that baseline and thinks like, all right, this is just like this. I know what I'm going to do. It gives you that moment of clarity instead of flick, I have no idea what I'm doing, must panic, right? Yeah. We get that split second more to understand, take in information that we know what we're looking at. We know what we're looking for. And I think that's really eye-opening. And you'd be surprised how much information, like, especially in the night portion. Like, I still know the rooms that we went through now.
Yeah.
Like, I know where the furniture was. I know where the TV was. I know where the chair was. I know which one was an open door. It's amazing how much information you can actually take in under a tremendous amount of stress.
Right. So, I mean, processing it after the fact, because it's amazing how much information you miss being exposed initially to it, right? And then, when you take a second look, it's like, oh, okay, this door is not what I thought it was.
Right.
Or this, this dead space is not what I thought it was.
Well, not to mention the trickery that it plays on you. So I'll just give you a quick excerpt from one of our conversations, and then I'll tell you what people should bring or what I think they should bring to class.
Sure.
We were on our last day. We were on one of our last runs, and we were doing a clearing, and we were going to clear the opposite end of the room, and both of us had forgotten about the angle of exposure about the door that we walked in from. Now, we'll get a little nerdy for a second. We're both gamers. And he is adamant about closing doors in video games. Adamant.
Yep.
Like,
swear to God. Swear to God.
Not once. It didn't. Actually, it was on your guys' run.
It didn't dawn on me.
I was on the catwalk with them. And I said, son of a bitch. Why have you not thought to close any fucking door we walk through?
That's funny.
And the look on his face was like, holy shit.
I can do that? Yes.
Like, and that's the thing, right? Like, no one told us we couldn't.
Correct. Yeah.
Right? We could have easily went, no, Joe, get the fuck out of the way, close the door. Like, we could have done that, and yet we didn't think to.
Because I mean, we processing everything, bandwidth, right? Finite, super finite. It didn't even dawn on me.
It's one of those things that it really opens your mind to, like, the simplest shit. The simplest shit can be missed.
Shit that you normally do on a daily basis. It's like,
well, look at all the people that were in that class and couldn't remember how the door opened that we've been walking in and out of the entire weekend.
That gets them every time,
right? There's an entire 2-hour lecture on how to identify a door, and yet there's still guys going, "Oh shit, it's pulled."
And he even mentioned, he was like, half of you, he said straight up, half of us, we're going to go up to that door and go to push it, and it's going to be a pull. Yeah. Literally, like, we don't think about it. It's like, shit.
So, not to sidetrack any farther, what I think people should bring is definitely go there with your gun, if at all possible. And that goes back to us testing gear, finding what works, finding what doesn't. Even if it means bringing your very Gucci AR pistol and putting it down after the first dry fire session. Right? That was a lesson learned. And notebook. I usually take video notes at classes that I take with competition coaches and stuff like that. This is the first class I've ever written notes down. This is the most amount of notes, period, I've ever taken. I think even through high school.
Yeah, you're right. I was in your English class, bastard.
Bring lots of food, lots of water, and stuff that will make you, I don't want to say calm, but calm is the word, to recenter. So bring a comfort food. Bring something that brings you back down so you can start taking notes again, as opposed to overthinking or what did I do wrong. Get something that's going to help you stay in the game and keep you there, as opposed to start freaking out what I did wrong, what I did this. Get you something that's going to bring you back down, bring you comfortable, keep you focused on the lecture. And do not be afraid to do two things. Ask questions and fuck up.
You don't do that regardless.
So, like, don't try and be perfect. There were tons of times that Corey was with Rob and I, and we were doing dry fire runs, and we were just asking back and forth. Like, I don't know I've never cleared a building in my life. But I would ask the question because, hey, I thought this way. And you heard it plenty of times in class. You got that from the movies, didn't you? Yes. Yes, I did. It looks, does it work?
That's one of the first things that Joe talks about, right? Is how do we know what CQB is, right? And it's movies. And funny enough, there was a SWAT, the movie SWAT with Samuel L. Jackson and all them guys. Ice Cube was in that one too, and everything. It was just on a couple days ago.
Sir.
Hello,
know
Cool
your black
J.
Guys.
It's like I don't even know who you are, Nick. Unbelievable.
But you know Sam Jackson, though.
Well, everybody knows Sam Jackson.
Sam. But you know, and I'm sitting there watching this thing, and I'm just laughing. I'm like, these guys. This is what I thought SWAT was. This is what I thought it was supposed to be like, and it's far from the truth. Or you know, you watch some of those military movies and everything, and I mean, there's a point for the military stuff, and that we've talked about before. This is more of a civilian police context. You know, I have to be responsible for me, or, you know, my partner, right? The acceptable loss is 0. We talk about that in class. You know, or military stuff, they're just numbers. So they can keep piling. There's 100 or, you know, hundreds of thousands more of them they can keep throwing at the problem. Where in this case, there's just me and a partner type of thing. There isn't more, right? So there's different context to everything, and that's kind of the neat thing about this. But it really does show you what good and true CQB looks like, and it's not a clusterfuck, basically.
Yeah. Not to get nerdy again. I started paying attention in Call of Duty.
Oh god, I can't play Call of Duty anymore. I love that
Well,
game.
no.
I can't play it anymore.
My KD went way up because instead of being one that would go like, huh, now I'm like, nope. And it works. It's crazy to see.
My wife was playing Call of Duty, and I'm sitting like, oh god, I can't. I'm like, give me it, because I'd even play with my in-laws, and I'm playing it, and I'm like, but this isn't right. I can't do violence of action the right way. Like, and people are just running around like crazy. I'm like, stop. That's not how you play this game. I can't do it. I can't.
We're
do it.
supposed to be following tactics. This is a video game.
Movies, and I'm laughing. I'm like, that's impossible. That would never work. He's dead. Like,
you
should not
sitting
be
there
alive.
watching the movie, and you'll look at that SWAT movie, right? You're watching them enter the building. It's like, I would wreck every last one.
like that makes no sense. You guys are all dead. Like that. You guys are wrong.
You deserve to die.
So,
here's why.
Well, again, guys, I'm going to start to kind of to wrap this up here. I appreciate you spending a ton of time with me tonight, talking about this and giving kind of that insight from competitive shooters. So that's really, really helpful, I think, to myself and others, and to talk about the class. So I really appreciate that. Want to kind of turn it over to both of you. Tony, I know you have your own podcast and stuff like that. So kind of now's your time to plug away your stuff, what you got going on. And so I'm going to turn it over to you. Shameless plugs.
Go ahead.
For both of yourselves.
It's shorter.
Yeah, well, this is way shorter. All right, so
okay, that's it. And Tony, yours? No.
I'm head out.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Plug your stuff.
Go ahead, Rob. Go. Plug your stuff, Rob.
Well, take all the courses, man. Every chance you get. Alliance, right? Joe Weyer at Alliance police training. I'm plugging everybody, right? So defensive mechanisms for all your kit, defensive elements for all your training, for force on force, and for their CQB package, tactically custom for all his baller ass shit, right? Come check us out at Front Sight Solutions for all of our training, right? Vehicle courses, tactical courses, right? Defensive courses. Come check us out at performance gun training for all your performance-based training, right? And then, yay, all the cool guy stuff, right? Just get out there, get after it, stay learning. Check me out on Facebook, Instagram, blah, 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 saying key and all that other stuff. Whatever.
You're going to have to spell that because I still don't know how to fucking spell it.
I'll have it on the description when I post this.
The whole thing. Guys, so. Appreciate it. I don't feel like spelling it. It's been a long ass day.
No, you're good. You're good. I'll have all that out there for you.
Yeah, man. First off, thanks for having me on. That was fun. I don't get to be the guest usually. I'm usually in your chair.
I'm always the guest.
So if you want to listen to me babble like Nick in his chair, you can check out mine and my wife's podcast. We host a weekly podcast. It comes out now. It's every Tuesday. It's called Pew Time. And we just talk about general gun news. We do cover pretty much any new product, gun stuff coming out. We do cover a lot of shooting sports and just general questions, whether it be training, some ridiculous questions. We do random, we call them CCCs. They're carry, compete, crushes. It's our version of the gun version of Marry, Fuck, Kill.
Or sometimes you do the Marry, Fuck, Kill version, but you just call it CCC.
That too.
It involves people. Weird. It's a good time, though.
I don't come up with the questions. I just answer them. If you want to get into competition or any performance-based training, you can always reach out to me. Have Gun Will Travel. I've taught numerous places, and that's at Performance Gun Training. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook. Let's see. What else? I think that's it. Yeah.
We're talking about the shop?
Yeah. I mean, if you're local in the area, you can always come by and check me out. I'm at Asgard Arms in Crete, Illinois. I got some pretty cool stuff. That's it.
All right. Well, again, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. And so we'll wrap things up. Again, everybody that's watching, check out these guys. I have other ACRs in all different classes. I know I've been kind of low on videos lately and other streams. It's been a ton of training the past 2 months here, which is always great. And things are starting to slow down. So I'll be having some more videos come out on some of the other classes and, seeing these guys around. So you'll probably see them on other future streams that we do on some of the other classes. So, and we'll have to do that competitive shooting. I will commit to come out and just fuck shit up or I'll just fuck up completely. I'm like, man, this is totally different than what I thought it was. And we'll have to talk about it. It'll be very interesting. But yeah, so again, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Have a great evening and take care, everybody who's watching.
Deuces. You gotta forget